Hello, guys. I hope you all are doing well. So, this is episode 2 of our ancient history, and we will be completing the first 3 chapters here. Geographical setting I've talked about in the video, so just go through the video, know about it, and do let me know if now you have to revisit all the pages or not. And let's begin with the video and know about the episode 2, that is the first portion. Okay, so this is the first chapter. We'll quickly take a gist out of it and complete it in no time. See, the first, all of these are introduction, which is not at all required. I have underlined all the good proper portions that might be helpful to us, or somewhere related to UPSC or anything like that. So the first thing is India was initially a country of unity in diversity. So accordingly things work. See here, small things like Munda, Kularian languages. So these are something that you can note it down, because Munda is a tribe that prevails in our country today also. They exist and they have their own culture and everything. So if you are aware of all the questions and everything, UPSC does asks about the tribe and everything, so you can just go through these if you want. If you do not have time, just skip, because tribes ka thing you can get from somewhere else also. So this one small portion is important, because yes, this name Bharat was given to the whole country from this tribe called Bharatas, and from here things started. And this about Chakravartins and everything. This is about all the initial portions of how things started. This is all about those times, Ramayana, Mahabharat wale times, that times. And then these are just small portions. If you go through this, what is about Ashoka, Prakrit, and these are all introduction. If you skip it out from here, you will get it somewhere outside there in the next chapters. And then relevance of the past to the present. So this can be important only in your mains. I'll tell you why, because things you can relate from here to there, and then you can answer your questions there if you want. And here I have just marked these out. If you have the book, you can go through them. If you do not have the book, you can just take this video, note it down, and then you will get across of how things are, and accordingly you can proceed. And one good thing that I wanted to bring it to you people is that people who are not giving prelims 21 but giving prelims 22, they, instead of going through the chapter, reading the chapter from the first instance, what you can do is you can sit with this, write these questions in your copy, and then make sure that if you're going through one question, you're looking for this answer from the same chapter here and not from the Google. This way you will understand the chapter, what it is about, you will understand the gist, and all of these are this basic that you have gone through in your 6 and your 7. So you will not waste your time in reading the whole chapter right now that we just completed in 2 minutes. So you can just go through this and you will eventually know about what all you have to do. But for people who do not have this much of time, you are giving it in pre, you do not have time for this right now, so you can just go through the chapter. And if you do not want to go through the chapter, refer to a IB will tell you where it's important and where it's not, because all of these are just the gist. You can just skip it out for now. This is not important. UPSC never asks questions like these. Then modern historians, if you look at all these small things like Puranas, the semi-biographical works, these all can be important in the way that they might just relate one word from this, and they might ask you 3 options from here, and you'll have to select your answer that way. But introduction, these books will not tell you that way. These books will only give you the clear thing. So what is Manu Smriti? I hope you all know the law book of Manu, a code of Gentoo laws. These are mentioned. You can just go through Google about what all these are, because UPSC has never asked it. Asiatic Society of Bengal in 1784 in Calcutta. This was set up. This you can just know about what it is and everything. Again, the same thing, Bombay Asiatic Society and the Indological Studies and everything. So this is it with your chapter 2. You can just complete, the first page of your chapter 2, and then the sacred books of the East series. And one small thing that is here is that what all other resources that stated something that ancient Indians lacked a sense of history, especially of the factor of time and chronology. Indians were accustomed to despotic rule. Natives were engrossed in the problems of spiritualism and everything. Caste system was there. And Indians had neither experienced feelings of nationhood nor any kind of self-government. So these were the 5 things. And caste system was also, it's like it was not that prevalent at that point of time. You can just say that it had just started. Similarly, in the early history of India by Vincent Arthur Smith, all of these generalizations are also mentioned there. India was presented as a land of despotism which did not experience political unity until the establishment of British unity. So what basically you can look from here is that if you are getting this is again from the mains perspective, that if you are asked in your history questions of what India was, or the approach to what India was in the ancient times, you can use these sentences. But from the prelims point of view, not at all. I'm telling you, prelims point of view, these would not be that important. We can only get about it from the question and answers, and that is why we need to just rush it up so that we can at least cover our prelims ancient India and not our mains ancient India for now. So in Maharashtra, Ramakrishna Gopal Bhandarkar, so again this name is important, Vishwanath Kashinath Rajwade emerged as 2 great dedicated scholars in all of these things are there. A monumental work entitled The History of Dharma Shastra. This is about the Pandurang Vaman Kane. So this is again, all the names are important, guys, because you just never know. I have put up the questions in the daily MCQs that we do in our Instagram channel. I have put up there about some person who is who, because maybe they died this year, or maybe they achieved some prize and their contributions towards it and everything like that. So maybe this person comes in news for some day or some reason, and from there UPSC asks you, okay, what was his work, and this was his work. So this is the way they link. This is not the way ki Pandurang Vaman Kane, Pandurang Vaman, you cannot learn it up, you cannot mug it up, but just go through all of these this way. And then Devdatta Ramakrishna Bhandarkar was an epigraphist, and also work was done by Hemachandra Rai Chaudhary. All of these names, you can just make sure that you know about these. At least if you're asked in the question, you're not blank. R.C. Majumdar, prolific writer, general editor of the multi-volume publication History and Culture of the Indian People. So again, this is beneficial for you. And see, I have not marked anything here. You can just go through these names, but I think that all of these are there at the latest stage, so you don't have to worry here. Wonder That Was India was also a book. Whose book was it? Let's find it out. It was of the British historian A.L. Basham. So this was there, and then Basham's books. Again, there's another book, D.D. Kosambi's An Introduction to the Study of Indian History. So if you want, you can use these. If it's like if you take a line from this book. So whenever you're writing your mains answer and you think that that line is relevant to that answer, you can mention that yes, in this book by this author, this line was mentioned, and that explains what actually you want to explain in your answer. Again, the same thing here, guys. If you want, you can see like I'll tell you, organize a debate on the following topic. Okay, modern Indian historians have rectified the mistakes of colonial historians on ancient Indian history. This is a perfect example of a UPSC question. UPSC asks you like this only. Like, for instance, if you would have studied the whole chapter also, no, then also you wouldn't have come to this. You wouldn't have thought about answering your question this way. So your mind wasn't set that way. Okay, so just go through all of these before going through them, and accordingly you'll proceed with everything. This is our chapter 3 for the introduction part. Again, all of this is about what all moons and what all things were extracted, excavations and everything. So the major part from where it was coming and everything, these are just lines marked. You do not have to go through them. I'm telling you, these wouldn't be any day beneficial. See, you can just know one major term called Megaliths, because this is something that, yes, it's asked. What is radiocarbon is important. This is there in this chapter 3, so you can go through that. What is radiocarbon? Basically, it's what? That it's a radioactive isotope of carbon. Now, what happens is that if some thing, like if an object, if you say it is decayed, so basically they calculate it in a way that yes, if the process of the decay of C14 is neutralized, what happens is that they continue to decay at a uniform rate. So if suppose it is 10,000 years back, so if it's like 10,000 have been passed, and then if you realize, okay, this has decayed up to this, so and this is its half-life, because why? It decays at a uniform rate. It started decaying 10,000 years back, and it has the potential to cover up more. So in that way, you might just know that yes, this is 5,000 years back or 10,000 years, anything. So you can just go through this radiocarbon. I haven't seen any question from UPSC about this. History of climate and vegetation and everything here. The nature and components of metal artifacts are analyzed scientifically, and as a result, sources from where metals were obtained are located, and the stages, everything like that. Coins, see, these are now important, because I'll tell you why. Just for example, you have numismatics, you have coin molds and everything. So now see, a small portion is here. Most of them belong to the Kushan period, that is the first 3 Christian centuries. Now what happens, suppose there's a question on Kushan period, and there the one of the options was that coins wasn't introduced up to this stage, right? Okay, or if there was a period before Kushan and they ask you about Kushans, that coins were introduced, or there's a period after Kushan and they ask you that in this period coins were introduced, so you would know that no, coins were there in the Kushan period. So this statement of this answer would be incorrect. So that is how you can correlate your answers and know about this. So people kept money in brass vessels. Again, there was a question of, I remember from the Harappan part, where they said that this period was only using gold. They did not have anything called brass, or I think they were using brass and they did not know about gold. So that is how you relate. See, brass vessels were in Kushan period only. So before that or after that, if things are asked, you will know that yes, Kushan period had it. So this period will obviously have it. All of these, you see, the earliest coins contain a few symbols, the later coins, the kings and the gods and everything. Coins were used for various purposes, donations, mode of payment, medium of exchange and everything. Crafts are there, trade, commerce is there. It's all the introductions. Inscriptions, when you come up with, see, inscriptions are what? Something which is described, and study of inscription is called epigraphy, and then other old records are there, that's called paleography, and the oldest deciphered inscription is our Harappan inscriptions, and it was deciphered by James Prinsep, who is the servant of East India. In 1837 it was deciphered, and inscription is always inscribed within the territory of a particular area. So these are the small things that you can just know about from inscriptions. See, inscriptions are preserved in various monuments, various museums, and most of them have been published in series of collections called Corpus Inscriptionum Indicarum. So these are all some small things, like if now UPSC asks you that inscriptions weren't recorded, or inscriptions were recorded, or maybe inscriptions of Kushan period was recorded in Corpus Inscriptionum Indicarum, so you would know that no, the statement is incorrect. So this is only for that, just this is very lesser probability that these questions might just arise, but yes, we need to prepare for everything. Now Ashokan inscriptions, like I said, that all of these were deciphered by what was the name, I forgot. Yeah, James Prinsep. So yeah, this was there. Ashokan inscriptions were engraved in the Brahmi script, and Brahmi script was deciphered by James Prinsep. And again, here all of these are there, that see, Shah Tughlaq, it was found in Meerut, and another in Topra, Haryana, the 18th century, they discovered Ashokan inscriptions. And see, like I said, James Prinsep, civil servant and employee of the East India Company. So this is it. And then you have the literary sources in this. Now this again becomes important, because literary sources is something that takes good hold of our thing. So see, here you had to just know nothing, just 2 or 3 lines from everything, and you are done. So within 10 minutes we are done with most of our chapters in a fraction, I won't say a fraction, but yes, a little bit from a book also. So here inscriptions, there were birch bark, palm leaves, and then Prakrit language introduced, and then everything like that. Then we have the Rig Veda, it comes here. See, this is the introduction part, so this will have everything. See, Rig Veda also, and all of your what were they called, and the Veda combined. So all of these you will get to know when you study Veda, so you can just skip it from here and everything. Jaya, Bharat, and Mahabharat, Satashri, Samhita, and everything. Just know all these words, because these are important. These you just never know how they ask you. Salva Sutra, Shrota Sutra, and the earliest Buddhist texts were written in the Pali language, spoken in Magad or South Bihar. They were finally compiled in the 2nd century BC in Sri Lanka. So all of this is something that you need to know. They again asking you of Jaina texts, the Dharma Sutras. Basically, I'll tell you why this becomes important, because these 2 or 3 pages completes the whole book's literary sources, like the Rig Veda sources, Jaina sources, Buddhist sources, all your Dharma Sutras, Smritis, the Kautilya Arthashastra, the Sangam account, the Sangam literature, and everything. So this becomes important when you just note it down here, so that before your prelims you just know that yes, if not anything, you can come here and revise these, and if not before prelims, you can revise it before the time comes for your other revisions. Foreign accounts is important. In foreign accounts, I'll share the notes and I'll do it in details. So yeah, stick to the video. Then the historical sense and everything like that, all the Puranas, what do they speak of, the Krita, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali. You might just hear your ancestors talking about the yug that they lived and the centuries that we count off. Vikram Samvat, Shaka Samvat, there are people who count it this way. Kharavela of Kalinga records a good many events of the Hati Gumha inscription. So this is again another inscription's name, so just note it down. Harsha Charita by Bhana Bhatta, again a composition. So these are all the historical sense. These we will do in great depth, and everything we'll complete it in this very video, and narrates the story of conflict between the Kaivarta peasants and everything like that. Vikramaditya, Mushika Vamsha is another historical thing, Raja Tarangin. So basically you're just taking out the gist and letting it go, and then constructing history is not at all important for prelims. For mains it is. So yeah, again, for people who were going through the pages and you're not giving 21, you're giving 22, instead of going through that, go through this. Right, everything that's here, and you will know that you've completed everything that's there. Geographical setting, I think we'll start with the Indus Valley before starting Indus Valley, and I would come up with something, I don't know what, and then we'll start with this. Last we come to our foreign accounts portion, and in the foreign accounts when we see it's just this much, but we'll try completing everything, all the foreign people who came, all who were important and who were recognized, they were recorded, and what all they wrote, what all they brought, and what all things they did it. See, if you have anything, this book, if you're referring to, look for pages like these and just put down everything that you want here, and you do not spread out yourself everywhere else, because at the end, if this is the sole book, you will be only referring to this. You wouldn't be referring to other things, because you wouldn't even have time to refer to them, right? So when we look at foreigners account, write as small as possible. Okay, so we have Greeks and Romans, and then we have Chinese. I know you all love Chinese, even I do. And then we have Arab. So we have 3 foreign accounts that we have to look for, and from here there were 7 people, from here there were 2 people, and from here it was just 1 person, so we wouldn't be noting much about these. So let's complete Arab first, because that's the first one. So from here who came was Al-Biruni. I'm writing it nicely because when I'll have to read it, at least that should be sensible and readable here. So Al-Biruni was from Khiva, that is in Uzbekistan, and he was an astrologer and astrophysicist. Okay, I'm writing short form so that the next time when I come here, I read these. I'm not in my own dreamland, and here if I write the whole of the thing here, what will happen is, okay, astrologer, astrophysicist. Now when I'm coming here, I'll see, oh, it's AST, what's that about? And then you will wake up your mind that way. So these are my small little techniques, so don't go with that. So Al-Biruni was from Khiva, Uzbekistan, an astrologer, astrophysicist, and since he was Arab, came here, he knew many languages. What all he knew? See, Greek, he knew Roman, Arabic definitely, and Persia. Okay, so what basically happened was that Muhammad of Ghazni, when he came to India, when Muhammad of Ghazni came to India, he was brought to jail. Now, this Al-Biruni was brought to jail. So when Muhammad of Ghazni visited him, Al-Biruni in the jail, he got impressed by him, and then he became one of the 9 gemstones of him. And Al-Biruni came with Muhammad of Ghazni to India, and then Al-Biruni visited, he came here, he saw Bhagavad Gita, he fell in love with Bhagavad Gita, he learned Sanskrit, stayed in India. So basically what you have to remember is he knew 4 languages, he was an astrophysicist, he was from Khiva, Uzbekistan, and what he wrote was Kitab ul Hind. That's it. So who was he? Al-Biruni was from Arab, he came to India with Muhammad of Ghazni from Khiva, Uzbekistan, he was an astrologer, astrophysicist, he knew Greek, Roman, Arabic and Persian, and Kitab-ul-Hind was the book that he wrote, and it's also known as Tahqiq-e-Hind. Alright guys, so this is what it is about, and this Al-Biruni called Banaras as the heaven on earth. Then we come to the 2 people from here, Chinese. One was Fahim. I think when we were young, we might have just known about him. I don't know, I have this person in my mind, I don't know why, but yeah, I do have it. Huensang, and Huensang is written in this manner, but he's pronounced as one song. So Fahim and one song. He wrote what? See, his name is Fahim. So he wrote what? He wrote Fuokuoki. Chinese name, Chinese people, and Chinese books. Means records of Buddhist kingdom. So Fahim, Fuokuoki, and this all was about all the records of the Buddhist kingdom. And he was in the era of Chandragupta II. Why this is important? Because I have seen UPSC asking about Chandragupta II, they might just be asking ki, Fahim visited his court, or Fahim visited Chandragupta's one court. So if you know Fahim visited Chandragupta's 2, and if they asked Fahim visited Vikramaditya's court, so you can just write no, that's wrong. So that way you can just know about this, and this book contains social, political, religious life of India. So Fahim, Fuokuoki, and was in the times of Chandragupta II. The same one song, also known as Prince of Pilgrims. Alright, or knowledge you might say, and he came in period of Harshvardhan. So Fahim was in Chandragupta II, Huensang in Harshvardhan's period came to India, and he stayed for 5 years in Nalanda University. So this is it about Huensang, and this is about Fahim. So Al-Biruni we see from Khiva, Uzbekistan, knows Greek, Roman, Chinese and Persia, wrote Kitab-ul-Hind and Tahqiq-e-Hind, that's it, and was an astrologer, astrophysicist. Okay, here Fahim came in the Chandragupta II's time, and Fuokuoki he wrote. This is the story, the record of the Buddhist monuments. Huensang, also known as Prince Pilgrims, came in the time of Harshvardhan and stayed in Nalanda University. So now this also emphasizes, like, see, if Huensang came in the time when Nalanda University was there. So if there's any question from Nalanda University, you might just relate the time period and things like that. History is only useful for this. Last, we come to the major part, the 7 people. The first being Herodotus. We have Megasthenes. We have Dionysius. We have Dionysus. Just write it along with me so that you don't forget all of these. We have Pliny. We have Ptolemy. It's T, guys, it's T. And then the last thing, here the name is not known, but something is known about this person. So we will read what it is known about. Okay. So Greeks and Roman, the first was Dionysius. Dionysius wrote Historica, and he is known as father of history. So again, Dionysius is known as father of history, and he was the first Greek to write about India. So Dionysius is that way. Megasthenes is known in history. I'll tell you why. Because the marriage of Chandragupta Maurya with the daughter Helena you will read when you read about Chandragupta Maurya. So this trade thing that happened between the father of Helena and Chandragupta Maurya, this was done by Megasthenes. So he wrote Indica. So we now know about Historica, we now know about Indica, we now know about Fuokuoki, and we now know about Kitabul Hind or Tahqiq-e-Hind. So 4 things that we've already learned. And here we have, he was the ambassador of Seleucus. Seleucus was the father of Helena. So he created a marriage alliance. Helena brought the sari concept, that's not required. And Maurya also gave dowries of 100 elephants and everything. So if you want, if you have an essay over dowry or something, you can just add this line there that yes, there was a time when Chandragupta Maurya gave a dowry for marrying Helena. And then you have Diomedes. He came from Syria. So now know that yes, again here, how can this thing help you? See, when you talk about Greek and Romans, Syria is a part of Greek and Romans now. So don't get confused here, because UPSC is confusing, I know. So he came from Syria in the period of Bindusara. So after Megasthenes, the next person to come was Herodotus. So he was at the time of Bindusara. So Fuokuoki at Chandragupta II, and Megasthenes at Chandragupta Maurya's time, and his son was Bindusara. Herodotus came in the Bindusara time. So don't get confused, guys. And Diomedes, this is not known about. And then we have Dionysus. I think you can pronounce this Dionysus. I'll pronounce that. So he came from Egypt, and he came at the time of Ashoka. So again, grandson of Chandragupta. So you have to note that Chandragupta, Bindusara, Ashoka, all 3, this modern people, these had some or the other foreign ruler coming in. Then we have Pliny. He wrote Naturalis Historica. So again, Historica was written by Diomedes, and Pliny wrote Naturalis Historica, and it contains information about the trade relations between India and the Roman Empire. So basically you can just remember it that day. And then Ptolemy wrote about geography. So the first person to write about geography of India, apart from Diomedes obviously, because Diomedes was the first person to write about the demography of India, and that I think at that point of time you can consider that under geography, but the proper geography term thing that took out was by Ptolemy, and it contains all the geographical information about India. And this writer's name is unknown. So his book name was Periplus, Land of the Erythraean Sea, and Erythraean Sea was the Indian Ocean that we talk about. So this is the most authentic book to know about the trade relations between India and Roman Empire. So this was it about the foreign sources that we've seen and we looked into, and that completes the first part of our history. What's the sources and everything. Guys, I have this whole note thing written with me. If you want this, you'll have to let me know about this. You'll have to work hard for this. I wouldn't be spoon feeding you every time. So if you think that you would want the clear cut notes of this, I'll post it over Instagram. But for that, you'll have to let me know about it. Either maybe you comment down, or you DM me, or you mention it to me somewhere. You have all the sources with you to connect with me, and I have made myself very open for that. So if you want this, you can just let me know. If you DM me, I will only personally send you. I will not post it. I will not let everybody just get it without doing any hard work. All right, and I have it very clear with me, so that it's like, see here when I was explaining you guys here, when I kept it here, I was also revising my notes with this. So what's happening is that it's so clearly written that I just have to read it out and you're done. So it's that beautifully written. If you want, you'll have to do the hard work. I wouldn't be doing it all the time. So this is it. Our chapter 3 is also over. Geographical setting, I really want to do it beautifully, so that because I've seen questions like, there's Hindu Kosha, there's maps, so they reconnect like Chambal is there, Betwa is there. So there are questions from UPSC. I have seen the pattern, so I really want to do it beautifully. I just hope that we complete. And if I do not get a very logical explanation for the geographical setting, then we'll leave it out for right now, and we'll complete the Indus Valley, because I want to do it beautifully, and I'll do it somehow. And then after Indus Valley, we'll complete our Maurya and Vedic ages and everything. So like this was it with today's video, guys. I hope that this was helpful to you in some or the other way. And also, like I mentioned in the video, that if you want these notes that are very clearly written, so that you can just go through these notes and you're done with your foreigners account or anything that we've discussed already, you'll have to let me know. Comment it down or bring it up via your the DMs or anything like that. I'll definitely DM you if you DM me, or if you comment down that yes, this is useful, or you would have wanted the same thing that you were looking for. You can just let me know that way. And keep liking, keep sharing, and keep commenting, keep subscribing. Thank you.